Christopher King, WX. CKWX. Let's go! Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. The weather guy. Clouds roll in, I'm on the case, tracking storms at lightning pace. Radar sweep and satellite, breaking it down day or night. Pressure drops, winds start to swing. Here comes that Tennessee thing. If it's headed your way, don't you guess I'll give you calm, not a miss. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. Chris King. The weather guy. Cold front marching, warm air fighting. That's how you get the booming lightning. Shower storms, maybe hail. I'll tell you straight, no tall tale. Timing matters, not the hype. Forecast tools and careful type. When it's quiet, I still explain, so you're ready when it's not just rain. Temperature, dew point, wind and sky. Put in the Y in the forecast, that's my style. Hyper local, right where you are. From the back roads to the town square far. If it matters to southern middle Tennessee, it matters to me. Chris King. 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 The weather guy. Christopher King, WX. Keeping southern middle Tennessee safe and informed.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Downburst, where we are taking a look at, what could be a pretty active weekend. Did you know it's going to snow over the weekend? I'm sure you've probably heard this from about 1,000 people. So we're going to dive into it in just a minute and talk a little bit about what we know, what we don't know, and just kind of look at some model data as we are still a little ways out. If you follow my page, of course, obviously you do because you're watching it from there, right? You know about my little 36-hour rule. We may talk a little milk sandwich as all a part of that. So just kick back and relax. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. That way I can kind of see what's going on. Already had somebody say, "Hey, I'm watching for the info for staying for the music." That's right. If you got on early enough, you did see my lovely little Chris King the Weather Guy theme song that it played first. But and somebody said, "Yeah, smooth jazz." I see. Of course, it's '90s Weather Channel, so it's got to be smooth jazz, and so that's what my kids definitely. My students, they actually love listening to this stuff. So, all right. So, real quick, before we get into any kind of graphic looking, here's what we know. We know that something is going to happen this weekend. Okay, the certainty is pretty much there, and the reason we can say that is that we have models in agreement. I talked to you a little bit about confidence in previous post, and confidence is when we have all these different models with different algorithms, kind of all saying the same thing. So when you see that this early on, that's a good indicator that, yeah, we're still going to use that 36-hour rule, but we're going to go ahead and start watching things. As you've been watching my milk sandwich meter, we are now basically we're at the point where we are staring at the shelf. We're getting kind of adjacent to it. And we're probably getting ready to put a milk sandwich in the cart here soon, or at least put one in the pickup order. Okay. And so that's what we do know. What we don't know are all the very specific dynamics that are going to happen with this system. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that. We're going to take a look before we go forecast models. I'm going to show you a website because it's all about teaching you guys too, because everything that I have going on right here, I'll show you. So, and I see some questions popping up down here, which is great. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about that as well. So let's go ahead and go to the screen. Let's see if it works. Bam! How about that graphic? All right, so I am at the Weather Prediction Center. So I'm going to show you a graphic you may or may not have seen been shown today. So this is one of the big hubs of all the National Weather Service. Typically during severe weather season, you will see me talk about the Storm Prediction Center. Well, the Weather Prediction Center talks a little bit about rain, general forecast, and getting into winter mix. So what I do want to show you first before we get into that, okay? So you have to understand something about me in this page. The good thing about live streaming, we can be a little bit more long form than we could be if I was on broadcast media, where I basically have 2 to 3 minutes to be able to tell you everything. So I'm going to break this down by clicking. I don't know why that happens. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at first is just kind of looking at, well, the fronts to kind of show you what's going to happen here as we move forward. So I know you've probably seen a map with high and low pressures. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this over to Friday into Saturday, because that's when we really need to start looking. And what's going to happen, and this would be about 6 a.m. Friday. Okay, so 12Z, and I know kind of getting geeky nerdy here. It's the math teacher, but if you really don't want to know what time that is, take that number right there, subtract 6, and that's what it is in Central Time. So it's 6 o'clock Friday morning. So what you're seeing this trough here that's starting to pull in that Arctic mass of air. So one of the things we do know why this is going to be an issue is because we're going to have the cold air in place. It's not like what we tried to have the other weekend or last time I had the downburst. We thought there may be a possibility of snow, but those are those clipper systems where the moisture comes from the north and the air is always chasing it to see whether or not we're actually going to get snow. So the cold air is going to be settling in place. And so we fast forward to Saturday, and this is where we start getting into the snow ice mix. So what's going to happen is we're going to have some air. I think you can see my cursor. Yes. So we're going to have some air that's going to be coming up from the south, which basically that's going to be our engine to have all of the snow and mix. Because as you guys know, if you've grown up in Tennessee, anytime we have a weather maker like this, we've got to have moisture pulling in from the south. And we absolutely do. And so here's what ends up happening. So we get that rush of warm air that's trying to basically collide with the colder air from the Arctic mass. So what happens, just, to make a long story short, that cold air sinks, warm air rises. And so what ends up happening is, as you can see my hands here, a little bit of that warm air is going to, at least what some models are saying, is that warm air is going to get pushed far enough into this Arctic mass that the portions right at the battle zone, okay, the changeover line, if you want to call it that, going to bring that warm air up just enough that we could see the three-letter word that we really don't want to talk about, and that's ice. And so that is what's happening here with this model. And then Sunday rolls out, and then we're going to maybe be back in the snow again, and then all this moves out, okay? So that is kind of the gist of what's going on. That's what we do know. What we don't know is when we get to this Saturday portion into Sunday, when we start dealing with this line and these models, okay, don't know how much of that warm air is going to get far north. Some models have said it's going to be us, and even parts north is maybe all the way up to I-40 corridor, that line. Some have said it's going to be south. Right now, that's just a lot of up in the air, really. What's going to drive that is going to be the placement of this low pressure system, which we don't have just yet. Okay, that's the thing. And when we get closer, we're going to have a better idea. That's that 36-hour rule. So one of the things we do want to look at, and this is maybe something that you've maybe seen posted by the National Weather Service talking about minor weather impacts, and we start looking at day 4 into day 5, and you can just see how much of the United States is going to be dealing with that. So basically, if I were to zoom in here, which I don't know if I can or not with this, it won't let me zoom in. I can do it this way though. Let's see here. I can zoom in that way. We're still looking at about a greater than 95% chance that we're going to see some minor weather impacts. Okay. Definitely, we're probably going to have some road issues. Depending on ice, we're going to have some power line issues. So we need to be kind of talking about some prepping there, just to be on the safe side. And so this is a map that's, like I said, been thrown around on social media today from the National Weather Service. It kind of gives us an idea of all those impacts. Okay, so basically what we're saying is all this is coming together going, okay, this is kind of a real deal situation. The question is how much, where's that line going to be? So alas, let's actually go to the forecast model, shall we? So let me go ahead and swap that over. All right, where you can see everything here. And so what we are looking at right now, just so you guys all know what's headed up, this is the European model, okay? And traditionally, right now, the European model seems to be, at least this year, has been the one that's been pretty much acting right, okay? And so what we're going to be looking at here is just Tennessee, and we're going to be looking basically at what type of precip that we could get, okay? So the main thing I've got to do is I got to roll this all the way back because I don't know why I went forward. But up here in the corner, you're going to see it. That's the timestamp, okay? So that's very important to know when this is going to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of fast forward this over to Friday, okay? So right now, Friday, I'm kind of going fast here, but you're starting to see Friday night at 9 p.m., nothing's in our area, but you can start to see it creep over right into, and I'm actually pointing to the screen even though you can't see it, it's creeping right into Memphis, Tennessee. And then we're just going to start going with this model, and just keep in mind with the Euro model and the GFS I'm going to show you here in just a minute, they advance every 3 hours, okay? So here's 12 a.m., still creeping in. 3 a.m., you can see that mix line happening right there at the Tennessee-Alabama line. Okay, let me get the cursor out of the way. All right, by 6 a.m., we're going to start to see snow coming into the area. And just so you guys know, as far as snow is concerned, the darker, the deeper the blue, the heavier the snow. So right there, right along that line, getting some snow showers. And it's not going to like be this start out like, oh man, wham, hit you with the anvil. It's going to start light. Okay, here's 9 a.m. Let me make sure. Hang on something. Yeah, I'm on the right one. All right, let me go back over here. Well, come on, Cletus. It is not, well, it did not like what I did there. It's like, oops. Okay, so by 12 p.m. Saturday, now we're starting to see that changeover line. And let me kind of show you what's going on and why the model thinks this. So I'm going to click a sounding. I don't want to get terribly geeky nerdy on you. But basically, I don't know how well I can zoom in on that because it's not going to do it with this viewpoint. So let me go to the screen real quick. Let me go back out and kind of zoom in tight on this so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I want you, and I got really dark here. Hang on a minute. That's because, there we go. Now you can see me. So basically this line right here that says 0, okay? Right there is what is the freezing line on a skew chart. Okay, and so what's happening is anything to the left of that line is below freezing. So what happens is that model is trying to push just enough warm air, just a little bit above. We call this a temperature inversion because it is actually getting warmer with height, not decreasing, which typically that's what happens. And so that is what's this just a little bit above freezing. So this is snow, 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 and then you get to right here and it melts. And here's something you need to understand. When snow melts, it doesn't turn back to snow again when it refreezes. That's what sleet and freezing rain. And what happens is it's a really sharp turn, really close to which would be less than a kilometer above the surface of the earth. That's what's going to give us the ice. Okay, so that's what a model looks like when it's showing you that it's freezing rain. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show you, give you a heads up on that. Now let's get back to that model. So it's going to just continue. 3 p.m., going to be some icing. 6 p.m., it looks like it's some really heavy icing. We still got icing at 9 o'clock. 12 a.m., it's still ice. So we're talking about ice happening on and off all day long. Now we're Sunday, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and now we're almost feeling like it's pushing just a little bit above freezing. And it really doesn't say that, basically what I'm looking at there, it's not a lot of snow. But you got to remember, this is just one model run. What I would do is I would urge anybody, just like, you can't just look at one thing in isolation. So what I'm going to go do is I'm going to look at the model trend and what has this model look like at this time the farther back. So this is the same timestamp of the model, but a previous run. So this would have been 6 hours previous. See, we keep flirting around with this. And so you see some models right here. So right here, it's really, really crazy saying, hey, that's going to be ice. Now, is that the actual truth? We don't know, because that right there is just a model, and it's not even a consistent trend yet. You need to actually let that run for about 3 times. So if it did this 3 times in a row, then we would really start going, okay, maybe this is going to be a little bit of an ice event. Okay, so there is the European model. So what I want to do is I want to swap it and go over to the GFS model, and we'll see what the difference is. Okay, so we're going to run it, and you're going to see that the GFS is saying that, hey, we're going to get this a little bit earlier. We're going to start seeing snow showers as early as Friday evening, okay? And so it puts us and keeps us pretty much all snow all the way through. So let me go back here for just a second. This is 6 a.m. Saturday morning. This is 9 a.m. This is noon. This is 3. This is 6, and pretty heavy snow here. There's 9 o'clock. That line just creeps ever so close. Here's 12 a.m., and we actually may be seeing some sleet here. 3 a.m., still going. 6 a.m. Sunday morning, still going. 9 a.m., still going. We're right on that line. 12 p.m., still snowing, off and on. 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And finally, by Sunday evening, it is rolled out of here. So we are talking we're almost talking, both models are suggesting this time frame of at least Saturday and most of the day Sunday, right? That's what they're both saying. They're just disagreeing on where they think that cold air placement is going to be. And so what I would like to do real quick is I want to kind of give you a broader look. So you can see this line a little bit different. And like I said, it's going to be a sharp drop right there. What this is suggesting is more of that ice is going to be a little bit farther south in Huntsville, actually south of Madison County there in Huntsville. And just notice that line of snow and how close we are to that line. And let me go over here and pull that real quick. Let me go ahead and pull the European model and how different that it looks. It actually has periods of rain where we may get above freezing. Just curious to see. Well, it's saying it's rain, freezing rain at that, but the temperatures are right there at freezing. So when that can kind of, sorry, you couldn't really see that because I was in the wrong mode there. That can kind of be just, there we go. That can kind of be just a little bit misleading there. When it comes to that particular model. There we go. All right. So anyways, man, we're just kind of on the line. I'm just, going back and looking at all this going, we're close. We're close either way. So that's why there's the uncertainty. That's the part of this forecast we just don't really know. Now, I could sit here and go give you snow totals. This is the part that you have to be very careful in sharing people, because everybody goes and shares this out and says, oh, we're going to get 15 inches of rain or snow. So let me pull back local just based off. Now, keep in mind, we had a lot of ice with the European model, right? Whew. Okay. 10 inches for Nashville. It still puts us at about 2 inches because guess what? Most of that was freezing rain. And so, or ice here. And see, this is the part that, I hate to say it, that's a doomsday graphic right there. If we were to actually, we're almost looking at an inch of ice. Okay, let's just imagine what an inch of ice looks like on anything. Just keep that in mind. This would be screaming, I'm sorry, I'm going to trigger some of you guys. This is going to be screaming Christmas 1998. That is what that model says right there in its current state. You have to keep in mind, you have to hold these things with a grain of salt. If I were to look at the trend, and I'll just do the model trend here, just to see what it's been saying. It's less, it's more, it's less, it's more, it's good godly amounts. And so that's why you have to just make sure you're not going and sharing all these graphics. You have to look at this and say, okay, we still got a lot of wiggle room here as to what we want to do. So what I'm going to do real quick now, instead of looking at this, I'm going to look at ensembles. And what an ensemble is it takes this model right here and it makes about 30 different tweaks to it and runs it 30 different times and gets an average, just little minor changes, not necessarily in the math, but the baseline data that goes into the model, okay, these numerical models. So real quick, what I'm going to look at is what we're looking at as far as the chance of getting an inch of snow is right around 60%. You can see it's a lot more the higher you go. It's a pretty sharp line. If I were to compare this, and this is the graphic you saw this morning, if you were looking at my page, the GFS says about a 40. I can't read that. Pawpaw can't read very well. Okay, got to zoom in. I got to get my Mr. Magoo glasses on here so I can see that. 45%. So either way, we're probably going to get some snow out of this. And so now the question becomes, what about more than 4 inches? That'd be interesting. Let me zoom this out. There we go. There you go. Now you can see a little better. There we go. So 4 inches. GFS says 29. I can read that one better. And then Euro models say 59%, because that's what really people are showing you right now. They're not showing you snow totals. You won't see anything like that soon. So now what? You've seen the models. You see what they say. You know the timing of this event. So the question becomes, okay, what now? What do we need to do? Right now, we just need to be in a holding pattern, and just be prepared. That would be probably my best advice for you guys right now. I did have a couple of questions, and so I want to. Oh gosh, it did not. Yeah, Christmas. Yes, yes, Christmas of '98 was the best. I don't know about that now. I remember not having power for 2 weeks, and I do remember specifically. I remember being with my dad, and my grandfather. I told this to my kids at school, because Lowe's had a shipment of generators come in, and there was a waiting list, and my dad got one, but then there was like first come first serve, and it ended up being like a bunch of men like WWE style, just beating the snot out of one another because they all wanted that generator. Thank God we had one, but like where I lived in Cobb Hollow area of Moore County, my road went without power for 2 weeks. So we don't want that to happen. Um, yeah, some of you guys, like I said, it's some PTSD. All right. So my buddy James says, what's Chris and family's must have when snowed in? Board games. I'm just kidding. Well, probably board games or a book. My wife's laughing behind me. I would say this, like, first of all, let's talk about worst case scenario. It's like this. I always tell people that you plan for the worst, but you hope for the best. Even with severe weather, I think that's a good way to go. If I had some must-haves for me, first of all, I'm definitely going to have flashlights. Gonna have make sure I've got some batteries. I'm gonna make sure I've got my milk sandwich. Got to have that. But like as far as to me, let's say okay, because I must have can go down a pretty dark. My wife just said, "Do we have flashlights?" Yes, we have. She texts me she's on my watch over here. Do we have flashlights? Yes, we have flashlights on. Okay, she's good. So, if I'm looking at it from the ice perspective, okay, and we have a real possibility of power outages, and I know that TUA is probably already ready on high alert. They're going to be out there doing their thing. Duck River is going to be out there doing their thing and doing a great job of it. But at the same time, think about foods that you can eat that don't have to be refrigerated, because you have that rule about opening a freezer, open a fridge. Want to kind of keep that in mind. I know that kind of sounds scary to talk about, but man, wouldn't you just like to be prepared? And even if it doesn't happen, you've got all this food that you just have to eat, and now you have an excuse to eat it all, okay? So that would be great. You can have all the peanut butter sandwiches, like Jif Natural. Okay, it's got to be the brown. I am a snob. Don't give me that Peter Pan crap. I don't want the Disney Channel peanut butter. Anyway, so that's what I would do as far as like foods and all that sort of stuff. And then as far as like other stuff, man, it's board game time, man. It's we all hated COVID, but we really liked the fact that we were like everything slowed down. Well, this would be a great opportunity to do that again. So board games, drawing, pictures, whatever have you. All right, somebody asked me this, wondering about air travel this weekend. Yikes. I had a colleague ask me specifically about that this morning at school, and she was leaving Nashville at 9 o'clock on Saturday. And I said, if you can change that flight and leave out earlier, do it. And that would be my advice, because once you're in the middle of it, you've got all these connecting flights that delays and stuff, and you get into Nashville, if that's where you're going. Or, just I would say if you can leave early, the earlier the better. I mean, seriously, that's because once this thing happens, just depending on where the biggest part of the snow falls, that's going to be gridlock. Um, yes, yes. The King family does enjoy milk sandwiches. We do. We enjoy it very much. So I'm just kind of going through here. It was a nightmare. Yes, yes, it was. Oh yes, yes, Franklin. True. We do need batteries, right? I one of the things I like. Hang on a second. I don't even know. Do I have it? It's around the corner. So you're gonna have to give me just a second, and I'm gonna go around the corner and show you something. Other, I think it's in here. You're like Christopher left the desk. Oh nope, that's the wrong one. I can't see. It's too dark in here. Oh, thanks, babe. Here we go. This is when you know it's live, man. Hey, here we go. This is when you know it's live and not Memorex, folks. Oh, there you go. You're not gonna get this anywhere else. This right here. So, I know this is a no-weather radio, but this is one it's hand crank, and it's also solar power. There's a solar panel right there, and it's got a crank on it, right, like this right here. And make sure, it's upside down. Midland's the best one to get, and you can at least have a light, because it'll do the light. There you go, shine the light at you. And so, if power goes out and you kind of need to know what's going on weather-wise, this is a good thing to have. And let me tell you, holy cow, when this thing goes off with a tornado warning, it will scare the living daylights out of you because you're not expecting it. And it does do the radio as well. And so you get like Whiskey Country or 93.9 The Duck or something like that, pretty local, that you could probably get information from. And so it doesn't take anything other than just the battery that's already in it. Let's see here. What model is this thing? It's the ER210. I could put a link to that inside of my weather page, but that right there, it's probably like 40 or 50 bucks. And so I do carry that with me. That's a pretty handy little thing to have. So that would be something speaking of batteries. So somebody asked this question. So at this point, sorry, when I'm reading it, I'm reading the screen over here. So that's why it looks like I'm reading off screen. So are we more thinking that we have a better threat of ice than fun of snow? Amanda, that is just going to depend on the placement of that warm air. It's really up for grabs right now because we're so close to that line. And so if you look at today, we could say yes. Tomorrow we could say maybe. And so that's the part that's really unknown. That's the part we just don't know yet of the placement. We know something's going to happen. We know there's going to be some ice involved. We know there's going to be some snow involved, but where's that line? Where's that zone of where that's going to be just snow or ice? And so that's going to be something we probably won't even know too well. We start getting closer to the event. We start seeing where that low pressure system, how far north is that warm air actually advancing. So there's a lot that has to go into that. Trust me, I took the course on it and just passed it not too long ago. There is so many things that go into forecasting snow. And so that's just the concern. We just don't have all those yet. They're just question marks. So right now, this is I'm just staring into the screen of a model that you can't see, but it's the computer's way of trying to guess it. So hospital test on Monday. Okay. Somebody's asking me about this. So that's a great question too, is that once this moves out, how long does this stuff stick around? I think that's a great question. So let's go back to the forecast model, and let's actually look at temperatures moving into next week, because you're going to, here's the deal. We're actually going to be below average for temperatures as well. So real quick, let me go back to the forecast model. Let's do that. And I don't know why it's decided it does not want to do the thing and get lovely. It's like part of it's cut off for whatever reason. Oh, I know why it's cut off, because I did something dumb. And it cut it off. I know what it is. Y'all, this is welcome to live. That's what it was. I think I did that. All right, there we go. Well, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. Perfect. There it is. I know exactly what I did wrong. All right. Anyway, sorry. I talk to myself way too much. Ask my wife. I do that all the time. Ask my kids, my students. So what I want to look at real quick, just for you, because you asked, I think that's a great question, is what's the temp going to look like? So let's look at temps real quick. Let's see here. So this is Sunday. So let's see, I'm gonna get it out of this mode where I just need a forecast run. Okay, so oh my gosh, look at the Monday morning temps. We're gonna be in the teens almost. Single digits out there in Western Tennessee. Tullahoma's gonna be about 12 degrees when you wake up Monday morning. So I know what some of you are kind of putting together here about maybe the possibility of some of this stuff that's happening to stick around for a little while. It ain't going anywhere. 12 p.m. We're looking at 22. We're going to be in the 20s for a high on Monday. Okay. Going to dip down into the single digits on Tuesday. Okay. Woo. Good gracious alive. And so we're kind of below freezing all the way. I'm in Wednesday at 12 a.m., by the way. I'm just going 6 a.m. Finally, we will see about noontime, finally on Wednesday, out of freezing temps. So I think that may answer some of your questions about being out and about on Monday, is that I really think whatever is going to happen, whatever we get, is going to stick around for a couple of days. You know, those spots that never, ever see the light of day. And then to take any cloud cover that we may get. That's what I'm going to look at. So if we start looking at cloud cover at 6 a.m., going to be pretty cloudy here, it looks like. It looks like the clouds kind of thin out a little bit. So there may be some spots that see that sun that roll away, you know, melt a little bit. But whatever happens, it's going to refreeze. So that's just basically, and we know temperatures. We have a better handle on temperatures as far as, you know, when you think about a forecast being 7 to 10 days out from a meteorologist on TV, you know, you can give that. And so look, whatever's going to happen is going to stick around for a while. So I think that's a great question to ask. Somebody just asked, has the snow been confirmed? No confirmation on snow yet. Nothing until I have the rule, and the rule says 36 hours out. And so when we get 36 hours out, we'll have a little bit more, we'll have a better handle on it. Okay. So you guys have any more questions for me while we kind of sit here and chit chat a minute? Let me hit my speaking button. Yeah, I have all these buttons down here that allow me to do this stuff. It's pretty cool. That's thanks to you guys, and tonight's sponsored by water, because that's what's in the Yeti. If I had coffee, ooh, I'd be too much. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Angelia. I wish I had better news for you. Well, Winchester will kind of be in the same spot. I wish I could give you better news on temperature wise, but it's going to stay around for a little bit. So, I think you've pretty much, like I said, you got everything that you probably know. My wife chimed in and said, "We made our grocery list needs tonight." She did. She sat down with with her mother, and just decided to go ahead and get some stuff, you know, because you know what's going to happen, right? It's like toilet paper. You know, you start seeing all these graphics, and people like the doomsday clickbait stuff. What if I could go out there and send that pic of we could get an inch of ice? That would incite fear, wouldn't it? And so what ends up happening is you almost have to be ahead of the curve, because if you're not on groceries, everybody goes wacko and goes and gets them anyway, right? I wish somebody had a picture that they could send me of the shelves at Walmart. Of course, they're getting ready to close down for the night. But I got to imagine that as we get closer, that's just what happens. See anything else? Neighbor, you missed it. It's forecasted to move in. Models would say, well, one of them says we're going to get it Friday evening, the GFS, but the Euro, which seems to be a little bit more reliable, says that we're going to get it more towards Saturday morning. Once we get closer, once I have a little bit more access to the HRRR, because we can't do anything with the HRRR right now because it's too far out. Because we're more than 48 hours out, I can't get it. But once I can have access, we may be able to nail down that timing just a little bit better. Not always is the HRRR the best when it comes to winter weather. A lot of people tend to go to the Euro or the blend model to just kind of play it safe. But and when it comes in, Angela, it's going to last a while. So we're talking all day Saturday, pretty much all the way at least through mid to late afternoon on Sunday. So it's going to be a prolonged event. That's why you hear people talking about winter storm. I think it's okay to say that this is going to be a winter storm. I definitely do. I'm I'm not built for survival either. I mean, if we could take the snow and not the ice is the scary part, right? Because that's what brings down trees and power lines and all that sort of stuff. And that is just that's no fun. That's no fun. Like I said, that's Christmas of '98 all over again. And I do not want to. I don't want to have to remember going up Cobb Hollow Hill and my dad with a chainsaw and cutting trees out left and right just so we could get up the hill just to get to town. Of course, us Telehomians don't have to deal with that, but hey, my Moore County folks and just some parts in Franklin County, that's a real concern. So let's look see if I have any other questions here. I think we pretty much talked about everything, unless you've got some more questions for me. Somebody said they're playing Bunko. I've never played that. I'm just more of a Uno man, kind of simpleton there. That was the thing we did over COVID. Is I taught he was 4 at the time, taught my son how to play, and then he ends up beating us all. All right, so it is about 9:40, and before I get off of here, before we say goodnight, I may be doing this. I guess my question would be to you guys, if you're in the chat, this is 3 options I could do, okay? Number 1, I could do just a post and put some of these graphics up there that you see. Number 2, I could with the same software, I can actually record like a quick forecast. Think of it like if you remember watching any of the stuff that I did with Mick and Mac, which I may be appearing on Mick and Mac tomorrow. Not in person, but to give a milk sandwich forecast. They've asked for that, and I was like, I'll do that. You're my bud. So that would be like a short form video. We're talking like 3-4 minutes at most. And then lastly would be a live stream. And so you guys seem to be getting on and hanging out. Like I said, there's nothing much to do on Tuesday nights because Home Improvement ended in 1999. That's why I made that joke, because we watched Home Improvement every night growing up. Or well, not every night, but every Tuesday night on ABC religiously. It was Home Improvement. But anyways, that's kind of the options of what I possibly could do there. Just go that route, whichever you guys prefer. I don't really care if I have to get on here kind of every evening and kind of give you an update. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just sitting in the weather center here. All I got to do is click a couple of buttons now. This is so much easier than what I was used to do with my old software. So here's the deal. Wake up in the morning, just definitely definitely be watching to see what here's where I would start. Okay, start with the National Weather Service. Okay, start with those guys. They're the best, and they've been through a lot, and I won't get into that, but they've been through a lot, and they are trying to work to make sure, and they got bigger areas, Nashville and Huntsville. So I'd make sure you just check them, see what they say. And I'll be showing the same kind of models. They have access to stuff I just don't have access to. It's just part of the game. That's why they're the National Weather Service. And so definitely check them. Check back with me. See if we need to make room in the cart. and we'll just go from there. And when we get to Wednesday, I think we may have even a better picture. And what'll be funny is we can compare tonight to tomorrow night and see how much that's changed. Um, Somebody is asking about snow totals. I won't comfortably give snow totals until about 36 hours out. Because it is a very fluid situation, and the placement of the warm sector and the placement of the warm air is really what's going to be the limiting factor. Again, things can definitely change, but I think the best thing, yeah, I love the short form video would be rad live. Okay, okay. Well, I don't mind. I don't mind getting on here with you guys. You guys hang out with me wherever you're at, watching on your device, watch on TV. Let me see how many people got going on here. Not too many now. People done dropped off. They're like, I'm done listening to him. All right. So, anyways, yeah. But yeah, the line going, the warm sector is definitely what we're gonna have to watch. That right there is going to either boost our totals or take away our totals. So the thing it is, whatever it takes away of totals of snow is going to add to the ice, and whatever lack of ice ends up being snow. So that's right. We're right there on that line. So that's kind of always been my rule of thumb. I took that from Dan Satterfield a long time ago, and he is the reason I even love weather. And so if it's good enough for a man that has been doing this for over 40 years and retired and he's well accredited, that's good enough for me. So usually 48 to 36 hours. And that's what Penn State says too. Their stuff, it was kind of funny. I read over that, was going, I've known that all along, thanks to Dan Satterfield. All right, anyway, so y'all can have the milk at the store. Yeah, I get you. All right, well, how about this? We'll get off here for now. Y'all go to bed or do whatever you need to do. Go fold that laundry. Go watch King of Queens or something syndicated on like Cozy or TV Land or whatever that is. And we'll check back tomorrow, and we'll just kind of just keep watching, man. Like I said, before we leave, something's going to happen. I don't know what, but something is going to happen. Just how much snow do we get versus how much ice? And we just keep our fingers crossed that the ice, somebody's going to get it. I just hope it's not us. So. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all for everything you guys do. I appreciate your support. I'm just the little guy in the big sea of other people that have a lot going on and have a lot more stuff than me. But I just try to do things my way, and hopefully you guys enjoy a little bit of the humor and a little bit of the laid back, nonchalant, a little bit long form. And I appreciate you sticking around. So share it with your friends. Let folks know what's going on. Tell them about me. Say, hey, this guy kind of somewhat thinks he knows what he's talking about. That's right, do. So anyways, love you guys. You guys have a great rest of your evening. And as always, man, thank you for your support. We'll see you soon.